you want to ask whether a person can actually slow down brain aging. You will slow down brain aging if you do the right thing. You hasten brain aging if you do the wrong thing. If you smoke, we want to look at the fact of whether the brain gets old or not, whether aging really does anything to memory. Because every bad day, your brain changes. Some of what it loses, you will notice. Some, you will not. So, and some of what it gains, you won't expect it. So the real story of brain aging is far more surprising than it is. So it doesn't just get worse. It's an interesting phenomenon. It's a highly complicated process in the brain itself, the chemistry of it. But in real life, it's something we can commonsensically, organize. We can organize it. So, is brain aging normal, or should you be scared? Does your brain get old or not? Can you actually slow down brain aging? Well, let's just say, what would you expect me to tell you? That the brain does not age? Does your brain get old? Of course, brain gets old. Of course, every part of the body gets old. That's why sometimes when I speak with my own patient, I tell them, you look at your skin. Elderly person, okay, your skin is not as smooth as it came out of your mother's womb. It's not as smooth as my own. So you can see that you yourself can tell that this skin is not as smooth as it came out of. So every part of the body is winding down, if you like, gradually a lot. In fact, when a man comes out of his mother's womb, he is known to have about some few billions of cells of nerve cells in the brain. Those are the things that the cells that take the activity that. And these billions of cells have hundreds of billions of connections. Hundreds of billions of connections. We call them synapses, connections, junction between one neuron, one nerve cell, and the other. It is these connections that the brain uses to, carry out its function. So, like, what's making your skin that was fairly full and smooth to kind of wrinkle? If you like, there are some cells that are dropping off. So the place is getting a little empty. Because it's empty and shrinking. That's why you are seeing. If you like, the brain cells are also dropping off. In fact, brain cells are the particular groups of cells in our body that drop off without replacement through a man's life journey. What a man came out of mother's womb with is what he's going to live his life with, quite apart from the one that will drop off. So the other cells, other organs of the body, like liver for instance, if one cell drop off, a new one will form. If one cell drop off, a new one will form. And what makes cells to drop off usually? Well, in the liver, like I said, it used to be the one it's the one that clears toxin from food and all that. Yes, some of the cells, when they get overloaded, overworked, they will drop off, they will die, they will know. The same happens in the brain. When the brain, especially the brain that is so highly active, the cells are so active and very, very, very precisely functional, very, very, delicate function, and very, 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 very complicated processes going on every minute. They will naturally get one or two get tired down the line, one or two get tired and then they drop off. Not talk of when we allow some toxins to get into our system. Not talk of when we are not eating right and some of the blood pipes that go to the brain have cerebrovascular disease problem. Blood vessels of the brain having problem. Some blockage here and there. So in some starting, and some of these things are at the microscopic level, at the tiny, cannot be seen by eye level, where we can see that cells are dropping off because the blood pipes that go to those particular areas of brain are blocked. Right? The things that block people's blood pipes in the heart that make them have heart attack, things that block blood pipes in people's kidney that make them have kidney failure. So those things, in a small, tiny way, may also be happening on the brain that the brain is not receiving all the nutrients it needs, all the food, it's not receiving all the oxygen it needs, one particular area of the brain, the cells will be dropping off. So brain will be aging as time goes on. Even those who eat well, there's that normal hardening of things that happen with aging. All the parts of our body, the skin hardens a bit, doesn't go supple, soft any longer. So the blood pipes in the brain also kind of harden with age. The hardening means they are not going to be pulsatile. They are not going to be expansible easily as before. Not being expansible means blood won't flow through them easily. Blood doesn't flow through them easily means nutrient won't get through the brain cell easily. So because brain cells are not receiving optimal supply of food and oxygen, some of them will be overworked and drop off, and some of them. So does that then mean the terrible thing that it suggests that, okay, a person is dropping his brain cells, then it means it's going to be no. The lucky thing about brain is that it's actually, the function doesn't actually precisely, particularly only reside in the number of cells. The function resides in the connections they establish. In fact, that's the only reason the brain is able to go through all of life, is able to recover from injury, is because connections get formed. One single cell, for instance, that's working beside another one, that both of them are performing a function and send the signal to the third cell somewhere, and they need to put those two signals to that one cell to realize what's happening. If one of the cells should drop off, the one that sends the image, the next cell, if the activity gets performed, if the person keeps performing the activity, there's a way it also loops back to tell the brain to say, oh, it needs more of this activity, but that is suspecting that the signal that's coming is less than before. So it's that single brain cell that's left of the two. That's a way of picking the fact that, okay, it needs to sprout. So it will now sprout more processes, more fibers, more connections, and sprout it from the sides and go and fire more. So that's how it is that the loss of brain cell, up to a point, of course, if it gets too extreme, there will be effect. But up to a point, the loss of brain cell does not really constitute the fact that a man will lose his function. It will still be okay. In fact, whether you have your full complement of cells or you have less complement of cells, the person who is going to make the maximal gain out of the brain is the one who uses his brain maximally. You have to be using it. If you don't use it, you will lose it. Use it or lose it. If you don't use it, you will lose it. And so the more you use, the more you gain. The less you use, the less you have. So brain aging is a normal thing. One should not be scared. And brain aging, as we are establishing, means as we are establishing so far, it can be read as some of the cells of the brain dropping off sometimes, right? And some of the connections not forming as briskly, as quickly, as well, precisely as they should. Again, that may have to do with the fact that you are not getting good food, so things that will help the brain to form, that we are not doing that. But that if we keep working on the brains, working on ourselves, the brain cells will have a way of recovering residual function, something that, and the more we work, the better. So the brain does not get worse with age. It loses volume. It loses capacity to take in new things at the speed with which, because again, the cells that will do that, some of them are lost. So with aging, with less cells, obviously, commonsensically, if 10 cells were performing the duty before, now something has happened to 4, we have 6. Of course, we know that the 6 will not be as fast as the 6. And so that's why it is with aging that your brain appears to get worse, but not getting worse. It's just that some things it could catch easily before, it will not catch it. But it's incidentally, actually, the other phenomenon that's well known is that even though it's not catching new things quickly, it can record old things precisely. Old things are, because those things have been wired. Those ones have been wired into the brain center where that takes place, that function takes place. They have been already so well wired. You have repeated them. Remember to repeat it. Remember, you have made so many nerve cells to be firing together. The more nerve cells fire, the more they wire together. You have done all of that so that the thing is so established. Okay, so the brain is able to produce that even when you are old. This is why you have old people who can reel off the names of their age mates in school, the school they attended, the road to the place, some of the details of events in their lives. It's new thing they can't process because new things have to do with new chemicals, new cells that need to now learn new things, but which they have less of now because of their age. But even those, the more a person works on his brain, the more you will. So, which is why when we get to where you want to ask whether a person can actually slow down brain aging. Yeah, you will slow down brain aging if you do the right thing. You hasten brain aging if you do the wrong thing. If you smoking, I came close to talking about smoking and some of those things before. One of the things that smoking especially does with blood pipes in the rest of the body is, even for a young person, blood pipes in the body get hardened by smoking. Smoking does something to the blood pipes that they harden up. The hardening up means they are not doing their job well. They are not supplying all the nutrients and the oxygen, and so tissue of the body are not receiving enough. Brain, in particular, that determines that lives on nothing else but those nutrients. Of course, will starve. Starving means the aging will now be faster. Okay, so which is why if a man will not smoke naturally, but of course, again, medicine is not rocket science like that. it's not just about smoking. He has to not smoke and also not take alcohol. I also exercise well. I also take in oxygen. I also eat good food and and if he has hypertension, he has to take his medications. Even that hypertension itself, if he lives a particular kind of life, what we call lifestyle medicine, he may be able to beat it. If he doesn't have diabetes, if he lives a particular kind of life, he can beat diabetes. So if he's not somebody who always abuses painkillers, analgesics, he's not likely to have renal failure. If he doesn't have renal failure, his kidneys will be clearing all the toxins in the body. Some of those toxins will not affect the brain. See, so many things that need to come together to make a man help slow brain aging, and particularly to not overdrive the brain and let toxins accumulate in the brain.